Good morning, everybody. How are you guys doing? It is early in the morning, and what I want to do is high five y'all for waking up this morning because it is early, but I thank God that He rose us up to be here where you can see and hear me, okay? So let's go ahead and get into some early morning analysis. I'm gonna update you guys on what's happened from yesterday to today. Now, if you joined me yesterday in my live stream, or if you catching a replay, or if you haven't caught the replay, I'm gonna link it down below so you can catch the replay. I prefer you watch that video first before you watch this one. That way you can be up to date with what I'm about to say. Okay. So yesterday, if you caught the live streaming, please go watch the replay. That you guys saw the analysis from yesterday and what could have invalidated the analysis, where analysis has been, or the trend has been validated. So now I have to redo my analysis, but keep the same bias, but change it just a bit. So I was looking for a sale. I wanted price to stay below 0.89687, but I'm not in control of this market. So what's happened is price has passed 0.89687, and now what I'm going to be looking for is for price to pull back and then continue up. This is not an uptrend, okay? So let me make that clear now. This is not an uptrend. As you guys can see, price has lower lows and lower highs. I don't know why my price table tools are backwards, but it's making lower lows and lower highs, right? This is the last lower high here. What this cycle is called is the pullback cycle within the downtrend. So she's retracing technically. It's just that if you never went up in time frames, you would never be able to see that. So if you only stayed on the 1 hour time frame and below, you would say, oh, price is in an uptrend because it will have passed your lower high. But the higher in time frames you go, you'll actually see, wait, price is actually in a downtrend. Price does the same thing on every time frame. It's just your cycles per time frame you analyzed. So that's important to know. This is why it's important to have like an overview. Like the daily will be your overview. The 4 hour will be where we are currently. Your 1 hour will probably be your entry. Or your daily could be your overview. And the 4 hour could be where you are currently in your entry. So it just depends on what you're doing on each time frame. Now, I don't think you should pair too many time frames together after that, unless you're like a scalper. But if you're a scalper, the 4 hour and the 1 hour and whatever one low time frame could just be enough. Or if you're a strict day trader, this could be enough as well. So it just depends on what you prefer, right? It's just preference. But anyways, let's talk about what I'm looking to happen next. Since we have a higher high on the 1 hour time frame, for me, this week, this pair could have a tension because I want to say she's going to come back higher up to 0.96 cents. So 0.9161, 90 cents basically, right? But what is the path for it to get there? So I would like to see price pull back. Okay, pull back. Now this is coming back to a zone. I had to redo my zone. So if you guys notice my zones are different, that is because I'm a supply and demand trader. So I only change my zone, and it's only one, literally one zone I'm changing, and that was the one that was up here. Once again, go back and watch yesterday's video. I'm only changing this one zone because now I have a buy bias, a short-term buy bias. Um, and so price could come back to now stay above 0.89083 because now we have a higher high. I'm hoping it comes back down so we can create a higher low. Remember where you want to enter your structure. It's important how you're going to place that. And so if she comes back down to around like 0.894s, then I'm going to want to enter her back up to the upside. And wherever that higher high is on a 1 hour, that's where I'm going to want to be next, okay? EURJPY, I'm just going to do a quick update. She is still creeping up to 129.748. So this is still a really good play. If you got in last night, you should be in profit. But once again, like I said, it's just a recommendation. I'm not telling you guys to trade this. I'm not telling you guys to jump in this trade. Obviously, you want to use your own analysis with these. What I do see is that the 1 hour is creeping up towards 129.248. So there's more room for her to go if she decides she wants to keep pushing this direction. So hopefully she does, because I want my students to make money. I want you guys to make money. But just once again, this is a recommendation. But she's going well for right now. Then Euro New Zealand dollar, she's still creeping down. So there's no trade here, but she is still creeping down to my 4 hour higher low where I wanted to enter her at. So yeah, on my hands on this one until that happens. So let's get to the pairs that I normally trade. which is AUDUSD US 30, and then pound JPY. So I'm going to start with AUDUSD. So almost the same thing as Aussie dollar CAD. She's in retracement mode. Now, one thing to note that's important about AUD USD is on the weekly time frame. This is something that me and my team went over. She did make a lower low. And one thing that I made mention of yesterday was we don't know how low price wants to go. We need to see evidence if she's going to continue down, or we need to see evidence if she's going to retrace or pull back. We don't want to rush into buying or selling just because the market is open. We really want to have patience to wait on proper setups. So I'm going to hop back down to the daily time frame. So right now, what's looking like, and we don't know how this one candlestick is going to close. Like this green candlestick, it's still 12 hours until this candle closes. I'm not making any rash decisions to say what that candlestick will be. I have no idea. But instead of worrying about this candlestick, I'm going to look over here on my 4 hour, more so my 1 hour time frame. So on my 1 hour time frame, just like AUDCAD, we've made a 1 hour higher high. So now, instead of me focusing on sales, I'm going to start to wait for a pullback to see if we can stay above 0.69677. And if price can come back to test where I want to enter my trade, which is going to be down here around 0.70050, then I am going to want to take a buy. Now, once again, this is supply and demand. Let me break down what supply and demand is really, really quick too. Supply and demand is not just about having multiple zones, okay? Supply and demand is all about who is buying as far as consumers, or how things are being exported and imported. What are those exchange rates? This now that's about business, or it's about consumerism. Think about if you're buying something from China, or you're literally buying something from Amazon.eu, right? Like the European Amazon, or you're getting something shipped from another country, you have to pay still their exchange rate, right? Um, and so supply and demand just basically says how are we exchanging these rates, right? Or how are we exchanging these currencies at a particular rate. Supply and demand says this, and now I'm just going to go down. So the demand here, if we look at what's going on here, people, this is AUDUSD. So people who live in the United States, they're able to buy the Australian dollar cheaper. Now this is about tourism now. So they're able to buy it cheaper. Okay, which means they can get more of the Australian dollar at a cheaper price. So the demand could actually be high for people who want to travel across seas, or the people who want to buy something from Australia, right? So this is the currency, or the supply is AUD. The demand for are the buyers. So this is not like supply, demand, supply, demand, supply, demand. No, this is not support and resistance, because I really want to get the definition of what you're trading clear. Now, if we look at it, the value of the AUD USD, this is almost going into like sorry if y'all hear these loud cars. I'm by a window and his car is loud. um Now with the value just exchanging a little bit higher, when I worked in banks I used to have to pay attention to this. So instead of people buying the AUD USD at 0.70460, like how they could buy it last week, they're gonna buy it just a cent higher today. Okay, just depending on where price is when the New York session opens. They could buy it a cent higher, it could be a cent lower, it could be equal, but people actually pay attention to these rates. So if now AUD USD, let's say it pulls back, and it pulls back to say above 69 cents. Let's say it pulls back to 70 cents, okay? Literally equally 70 cents. But it continues to go higher. People will pay attention to these exchange rates when they're actually exchanging them for tourism or for business, imports, exports, even bank to bank. This is something to pay attention to, because if the exchange rate gets higher, people will notice, man, even though I can still buy it cheap, I'm buying it at a little bit more of an expensive price. And demand for that currency could actually fall just a little bit, and this will make people go shop around at different banks, or just different banks and different places, just to get a better exchange rate. So that's supply and demand. It's literally like focusing on certain rates at a time versus level, or zone. This it's all about the demand of something, okay? Because we do that every day in life. If you like a certain kind of shoe or a certain kind of food or whatever, and if you notice it's a cheaper price, you're going to want to buy more of it. But if the price gets more expensive, even though you still see value in it, you may go shop around. So that's something that you guys want to think about. Supply and demand. Okay. Supply is the currency, demand are the buyers. We are the trader of their exchange. So anyway, like I said, I'm looking for price to come back to around 70 cents, more so 0.70048. And if it does, I am going to be the buyer. It's not a long-term buyer, it really is short-term, because now most of my analysis is coming from the 1 hour time frame. And that is something else I want to talk to you guys about really quick. Whatever time frame you're analyzing the most, that is probably where you're going to be entering your trade. Okay. Notice how I haven't spent a lot of time here on the daily, because the direction that I would love to see price come back, if price is going to go in full retracement, is back up here to around 0.7150. But what is the path of how we get there? The path of how we get there is more so me focusing on my 4 hour and my 1 hour, because my daily is going to be more so, this is where we're going. This is the overall view of where price retraces. That's where I want to see it. But I'm going to trade these two time frames more. Okay. Let's go into GJ. So I like GJ's setup. Very beautiful setup. And one of the reasons why I like GJ's setup is because she just created a higher high. This is why I was telling my members I wanted to see yesterday, is price create a higher high, and she did. And we have a now confirmed new higher low, which is right here, because I don't trade on Sundays. So I want to let you guys know that right now. I have a rule about trading Sundays. So if price can pull back to stay around, or stay above 154.104 or 154.105, you can round it, and come back to test around 154.470, I am going to want to take the trade back to the upside wherever she retraces from. So this is on my watch list today as well. Then lastly is US 30. So US 30 just made a new higher high. And this is something that I was telling one of my members. He and I had two opposing setups, but it was okay because we got to do really good dialogue. I saw a buy, he saw a sell. Now, here's why I'm saying this, because he's a really great analyzer, really great trader. And sometimes I think it's okay when we don't always agree, right? But I was looking at US 30. And one thing about US 30 is we're dealing with the stock market. It's not currencies, it's literally stocks, the Dow Jones. So, this can the Dow Jones can affect certain, if you're an investor, I'm an investor in the stock market as well. So it can affect the way, the way you would invest, right? But the one candlestick I was looking at was this one long rejection candlestick hammer. And then I looked on the 4 hour. To me, this is our last lower high at 34,525, and price ended up pushing past it and making a higher high. And this is where we are now. So I saw this as a higher low, higher high situation. And now that we have a confirmed higher high, we also have a confirmed higher low. So for me, if price can come back to around 33,800, I'm going to be more inclined to want to take a buy. We just have to see what's going to happen, because we don't know if price is going to stay here or continue up and she starts trending on the 1 hour. So, but this is something that I am going to want to pay attention to this week as well. So, because my main priorities are AUDUSD, pound JPY, and US 30. Okay. The others are just alternates. But, we have some really great movements this week, you guys, already. And so I'm praying that you guys have a really safe week. Don't overtrade. Don't look to get into every single thing that you see just because you can, but pick your quality setups, okay? So that being said, I'm going to go get ready. I got to go to the gym, get my kids ready for school, do some mommy time, and then get to work with some clients. So I'll talk to you guys in the next video. You guys be blessed.